G'day, how are you? And thank you for clicking play, and you've done so because you've searched up about the Canon EOS M. This Canon EOS M was the first mirrorless camera that Canon released to the market. And I think it was around about 2011 or 2012. It was panned hugely when it was first released because there were massive problems with the autofocus. But now it's 2019 and there have been quite a few releases in terms of firmware. There's also been a number of other mirrorless cameras released by Canon since then and in the M line. So I'm going to look at briefly, is it worth getting one of these cameras now in 2019? It's a question, let's answer it. Now this camera here was released in around about 2011-2012. Here's what Canon had to say about it at the time. The Canon EOS M, an 18 megapixel interchangeable lens compact system. Camera small enough to take anywhere. Enjoys simple, creative controls and superb low light performance for stunning images. First of all, let's talk about the stunning images part. I really agree with that. This camera here can take awesome images, and here are a couple here to have a look at. They're really sharp and nice and bold and vibrant, and they'll remind you of many photos that you can take on any number of Canon DSLR cameras and recent, more modern mirrorless camera systems by Canon. Okay, I'm going to carry on back. Now in terms of the superb low light performance, I'm not too sure about that. It goes up to ISO 6400, you can expand it from there, but I wouldn't really want to shoot beyond ISO 3200 in this camera because it starts to get pretty noisy. But one thing I will say is this is the same sensor, the same 18 megapixel CMOS APS-C size sensor out of the Canon EOS 650D. So it is a really, really good sensor. And the fact that it's in this small, minute, compact body makes it even more appealing. Okay, enjoy simple creative controls, and that's absolutely correct. This camera has all the same automatic controls that any other Canon DSLR has. And you've got all the options from creative black and white to automatic mode to macro to portrait to landscape to sports. They're all in here. But what's really cool about this is you can also set it to a manual exposure mode where you can go through the settings that you're familiar with from your DSLR. For instance, is full manual mode, aperture priority, shutter priority, program automatic exposure, and then there's the creative auto, and this is where you've got the other ones like handheld night scene, HDR backlight control. Very seldom use any of those. Simple controls, they really are simple controls when it comes to this. There's just one knob on the top for your main mode selector, i.e. auto camera, manual mode select camera, and video mode. Video mode, this has got full HD 1080p at 24 and 25 frames per second. You do have 50 frames per second and 720p, but really, the great thing is it's got full HD 1080p. Okay, small enough to take anywhere, that's true. This is a really small camera. I mean, here it's hidden away in my hand. It's really no bigger than a cell phone. And with this cool little 22mm lens, pancake lens, I think that's one of Canon's smallest pancake lenses. This is a cool little setup to pop in your pocket. Interchangeable lens system. Sure, it's got the interchangeable lens system. Here, it's got the cool little Canon EFM 22mm f2 STM. This is one of the EFM range lenses. So the EF and EFS lenses that you may know from your DSLRs won't go on here natively. You need to have the EFM lenses with the EFM mount. So for instance, it's this one, the 22mm. Here's another kit lens, which is the 18 to 55 f3.5 to 5.6. So it's a cool little setup as well, a little bit chunkier. Certainly the newer kit lens is the Canon EFM 15 to 45, which while very sharp and got a nice little range, is a shitty lens because of this damn lens lock switch on the side of it. Move on. What I like best about this is with the 22mm on here, it's a cool little setup. The other thing is though, you can get the Canon EFM to EF and EFS lens adapter. You probably already know this because you're looking up the video, you've already done this research, but this just goes on here. And then all of a sudden you can adapt any of your EF or EFS lenses. For instance, here's a nice little EFS lens to 18 to 135, and here it is on the camera, and as you can see, it looks reasonably, doesn't look like too bad of a setup. Here's one here, the Canon EF 70 to 200 f2.8. So you can adapt all those lenses. So that's really, really cool. If you have the Canon EOS M, you probably want to get the FM to EFS lens adapter. Okay, so one thing to note is it does have the 3-inch touchscreen on the back. The touchscreen's really responsive, just like it is on some of the newer Canon DSLRs, but it doesn't have a viewfinder, this camera here. And I often find myself pulling it to my eye and looking over the top like it's a gun or something, but that won't work. It's only got a touchscreen the whole time, so if you're used to taking photographs on your cell phone, then you'll just feel right at home with this. And so if you're used to operating on a touchscreen, you'll have no issues with this. I like the viewfinder myself, but it makes it nice and small and handy. The touchscreen is really responsive. Okay, so it's 2019. It is quite a few years old, this camera. We know there are newer models. Here's the M50 here. If you can save up to get the M50, you shouldn't. But if you want an inexpensive, small camera that you can take around, maybe even to grab some B-roll, remember it's got the full HD. You know, maybe you can set this up as a slave camera or something like that, or if you're using the other camera to take some long exposures, you've got something handy for snapshots. Who knows? Whatever you want a second or third or fourth camera for, that's your business, not mine. But what I would say is there are issues with this, and we know that when it first came out, the main problem was autofocus, and Canon did try and fix it, and maybe they sorted it a little bit. That is the main hang-up of this camera, still now in 2019. It's really, really great if you want to shoot landscapes, or if you want to shoot cityscapes or still life, something like that. But as soon as you want to shoot anything moving, running or animals or any type of sports or action, then this is not the camera for you. The autofocus does not pick up very fast. Even it still hunts, doesn't lock on, servo does not track very well. Anything that's moving, just write it off. This is not the camera for you. If anything's moving or you need any action shots at all, then you should save up a little bit more if you can and get the Canon M50. Better still, go for a DSLR, one of the newer ones that has dual pixel autofocus. That's the way to go. But certainly anything that's in action or moving, the Canon EOS M is not for you. And hopefully that much is clear now. But if you love taking landscapes or just having handy on-the-go camera for snapshot, when I say I'll just pause there, because when I say snapshots, there's really no such thing with this camera, because you do kind of focus. Now I can take the shot and I'll focus over here. You can't see what I'm shooting, but okay, no, the cat's over here. Take a photo of the cat. You know, these are not fast photos. And we know that STM lenses are very fast in terms of their focusing. On DSLRs, they go hecka fast, and also on the M50, they're very fast as well. What else about this camera? One thing I do love is it's got this cool little, or you can get this cool little Canon Speedlight, the 90EX. And that sits on there, and that is a cool little funky setup as well for taking flash photography. So that's a nice little option as well. Okay, so let's wrap up. In 2019 is the Canon EOS M, something that you'll want to buy. Look, if you're in New Zealand and you can get it for somewhere from between $100 and $200, it's probably a good deal. $150 max is what I'd pay for it. I've had a couple of copies of these. I paid around $100 for each of them. This is a great copy here. This is in really, really nice condition. I think if you can get it for $100, then you're onto a good deal. You know, the adapter is going to cost you a little bit as well. So, and it's even better if it comes with batteries and a memory card. If it comes with the strap, then that's a bonus too, because it does have its own proprietary strap that the other normal straps or other Canon jobs won't work on. So yeah, okay, from a nostalgic point of view and the fact that it's got recognizable Canon controls and it's got your full mode select options in there, I think it's a cool camera, but really, you know, it's not a very strong performer. Hey, thanks for watching. Have a great day and check out these videos from last time.